Good morning, good evening, good day, and welcome to Drama Buds. I'm Francine, I really love K-dramas, and I'm going to spend as much time as I want talking about them. Welcome to my podcast. So, hello everyone. Do you ever just feel like you found the perfect show at the perfect time when you wanted it the most? Because okay, recently I've been watching a lot of like plot heavy crime, mystery, legal shows, and yeah, that's fun for a while, but I know myself, I know my tastes, and I know that I'm really a slice of life girl. I love boring everyday stories about daily lives of people, workplace K-dramas. I love those. And like recently I've come to like realize that there are like usually three kinds of slice of life shows. It's like slice of life leaning funny, slice of life leaning warm, and then there's slice of life leaning sad. And so our show for today, live, is just completely out of nowhere. It was exactly what I needed and what I wanted at the time. Like, I did not expect that this would be like a slice of life leaning sad type of show, but it was. And it really just reminded me that I truly love emotionally devastating shows that aren't like super dramatic, plot wise, but just, people struggling to survive. That is my jam. So, once again, how did I end up here? How did I end up watching this show? Little background on me as usual. So one of my favorite shows of last year that I watched last year was It's Okay That's Love, right? I mean, yeah, I have an entire episode on it. Just, the chemistry, the feelings. It was a light and happy show with, sprinkles of sadness and all that. But the cinematography was atrocious. Like, it was really, really good, but it was just that director Kim Tae's style at the moment. Kim Tae is also the director of Scarlet Heart, as I mentioned before. So, cinematography wise, I feel like the projects are good, but the visual that I'm actually watching is pretty terrible and a bit off-putting. But once you get used to it, the writing is quality. And like this specific writer, No Hee Kyung, aside from It's Okay That's Love, she didn't write Scarlet Heart, obviously. She wrote Dear My Friends, which was it won the best screenplay, I think, in that year. So in the Baeksang Arts Awards. So yeah, it's good. I know it's good. And like, yeah, as I was looking back on It's Okay That's Love, it was really good. But it's just the cinematography that was off-putting. So yeah, when I saw that they worked together again in live, like I had low expectations. No expectations actually. And then, when I watched it, it's like, what? First of all, cinematography actually looks normal, borderline good, and like because it was visually okay now, I could really focus on like what I was watching, story-wise, not just visual cinematography-wise. And then I just fell in love with the sadness, I guess. Or it wasn't completely sad, but it got really heavy at some points. I'll get there. I'll talk about that. But yeah, Live is about, the everyday lives of policemen in the patrol division and focuses mostly on like two rookies and two veterans who are on different stages in their career and in their lives. So yeah, let's just go. Let's just do it. Okay. So our main female lead here is Han Jung-oh, played by Jung Yumi. She's a rookie cop. Yeah, she's pretty smart. She's by the book because she knows the book. She's actually studied really, really well for this. And like her backstory is that she was raised alone by her mother, and her father didn't acknowledge her as his child because she was born out of wedlock. And so, growing up, yeah, that happened to her, but she did fairly well for herself. And, going into the workforce, like, it's difficult to find a job as a woman. Just, you know, it is what it is. It just is what it is. And, after just struggling for so long to find a job, she decided to take the exam to be a policeman because they didn't look at gender or qualifications. Oh, she didn't like graduate from a prestigious university or anything, just like a regular university. So yeah, she didn't have that going for her either. So yeah, to become a cop, they only look at their exam scores. So it's like a blind blind hiring, I guess. So yeah, she studied for that and she passed and she made it into the academy. She's the best really among the three who were sent to the Hongil station. That's the area that they were sent to, or that she chose. But like, Jung-oh personally struggles with the idea of needing a sense of duty. Like, what is a sense of duty to her? And like, how come she doesn't feel that in a job that's so difficult, so dangerous, and honestly so traumatizing? And so, like, without that sense of duty, what's really pushing her to stay in this career? Like, aside from the desperation of getting a job because she desperately needs one, like, what is there that's keeping her here? And so why not just leave this career? Yeah. So that's Han Jung-oh's story. Our next lead is Yom Sang-soo, played by Lee Kwang-soo. So he's another rookie cop. Typical male protagonist in this type of setting. He's reckless, but he's brave, and he's, eager for action. That kind of person. Similar to Han Jung-oh, he struggled to find like a permanent job. He was conned by a pyramid scheme, and then, he used up the money his family's money for that. And then after his brother leaves Korea to work in another country, he realized that he's the only one left to take care of his mother. And, like, he wants her to be proud of him, to have a job and to be proud of him and to earn. And so he decides, like, out of desperation as well, just to be a cop. So yeah, as I mentioned, like, typical male protagonist, the annoying, reckless kind. Yeah, that's definitely him. But his journey in this show is really like maturing. It's a journey towards maturity, like finding that sense of duty that's more than just the excitement and the honor and the feeling of, being a hero, I guess. Aside from that, like, what is the sense of duty that will keep him in this job? And like, his journey is greatly aided, I guess, by his mentor, Oh Sang-chun, played by Bae Sung-woo, which is who is actually like a veteran cop that they first met as like their super harsh trainer in the police academy. And so Yang Chun was part of the violent crimes division. So he was always away from home, kind of estranged from his family because he's always out, solving cases and whatnot. And just like, at the start of the show, I guess, or his story in the show, his old mentor died trying to save him. Because Yang Chun saw a drunk person going into the sea at night, and so he tried to save him, but then his mentor couldn't find him after a while, so his mentor tried to save him, and then Yang Chun managed to save the drunk man, but his mentor passed away. Yeah, episode 2, it's already pretty dark. But yeah. And so, like, he was accused, or like people were saying that he drank and his mentor tried to save his drunk colleague and all that, which is a complete lie. But yeah, he just got demoted, essentially blasted by the media, the public, and his own people, by the people in the force. And so he was demoted. He was sent to a local patrol station, the same station, Hongil, along with Jung-oh and what's his name? Sang-soo. So yeah, they reunited there. And like, his seniors, actually, like, that was his original patrol station, I think, or he just like he has a deep history with the people there. So yeah, they took him in because really no other division or department would want to take someone who was, accused of that. Even if everyone knows it's not true that he they know that he wasn't drunk. It's just it was the official story that came out. And so yeah, he was really on the down low. Wait, his suffering is not over, okay? His wife, the estranged wife, wants a divorce. And his mother has been sick for a long time and she's only surviving on life support. And, yeah, now he got demoted. It's kind of like, how many more terrible things can happen to one person? Alas, alas, that is the show. And yeah, his journey is really like how he deals with being at the lowest point in his life. Like, what else is there in his life aside from his job and his sense of duty? Bringing up that word constantly, that term constantly. Because, yeah, I think that is. We'll talk about the sense of duty later. But yeah. So it's like his career is kind of dead. Like there's really nowhere to go with his career. So what else is there now in his life? Like he'll continue to work. He'll continue to do his best in the patrol division and all that. But there's what else is there? There's no upward climb to his career anymore. And so like spending all his time, rising to the top, trying to rise once again. It's a waste. So what else is there to his life? So that's Yang Chon's journey. And our last main character is An Jang-mi, played by Bae Jung-ok, who is the wife of Yang Chon. So Jang-mi is less prominent than the other three, I guess. But like the show treats her as a main character, and I do want to talk about her. So okay. Yeah, Jang-mi is the wife of Yang Chon, and she is also a cop working in the women and juvenile cases division, like that division. Jang-mi is just like a really decent, upright human being. She's responsible, she's mature, she's well adjusted. She raised their 2 children alone. Yeah, she's just like a really like a person who's doing okay in life, but at the start of the show, she lost both of her parents and decided to get a divorce from her husband. So, no matter how okay you are as a person, no matter how stable and wise you are, like, bad things can still happen. Some of it's not your choice and some of it is her choice. And how does she deal with that, She's pretty distant from the other characters because she doesn't work in their station in Hongil Station. I'll just call it a station. But she does come in contact with them often through cases that involve women and children. Jang-mi, she's always prioritized her job and her family above all else, but like after the divorce and like after facing some roadblocks in her career, like she's questioning like if she can start prioritizing herself, which as a middle-aged woman who has raised 2 children on her own and has decided to get a divorce from her husband, like yeah, she's not tethered to anything anymore. So what is there for her to do? Honestly, I love Jang. She's a really great character, but I can better describe her character through her relationships with others, which is why she feels like a less prominent main character. Okay, so I guess it's time to address the elephant in the room. I've been watching, as I mentioned, I've been watching a lot of like crime, mystery, cop, lawyer, prosecutor shows, but most of those shows are very heavily dramatized. Like there's some murder to solve or some evil politician to overthrow, like that, those kinds of shows. But this show takes a slice of life approach, which draws from reality. And I have to admit that I was personally uncomfortable with that idea that this is the reality that they are portraying, because I feel like that discomfort comes from the disconnect between what we're seeing as versus what we're seeing portrayed as reality of this situation versus like our actual reality. It's like you say this is real life, but this is not the real life that I personally experienced. And therefore, I cannot completely sympathize or empathize, or, it just takes me out of it and made me feel, personally very uncomfortable at times. Just the cognitive dissonance of it all, like you want to appreciate something, but it's telling you this message, or like portraying these situations that you don't think are true to your personal circumstances or the world that you are living in. All right. And so, like, there were two approaches, I guess, that I developed as I was watching the show and just trying to, do all the mental gymnastics to appreciate this as much as I want to. And so, first, you could see this show as a portrayal of their reality in their culture and society, in their country, in their world, essentially. And that's possible. Like, I can't speak for other countries and how their institutions operate and all that. Like, I can't speak for them, but I can treat this show as a portrayal of their reality and therefore not mine. So I can distance myself from it like that. Another approach is to see this as just the ideal group of people who I developed the ideal set of principles and attitudes that are, healthy and honorable and all that, and they are simply living in a flawed world. So it's either you can look at it as a different reality or as a completely fictional, idealized world, the same way, like, creating their own world that does not operate on like the existing issues in our or your reality. So yeah, it's either I look at it as completely different reality or completely fictional, but definitely it does not mirror my reality. Okay, so like my feelings and thoughts are towards like the specific characters depicted here and not like the institutions as seen in real life, my real life, in my society and in my culture. Okay, like, because I think even with that perspective, with those two perspectives that I use, interchangeably whenever it's most appropriate, like the messages and themes can still remain intact. And personally, I like this show more for the relationships it portrayed and the general mood of it all, like that stuff. But okay, so we've addressed it. Once you get through the mental gymnastics and the cognitive dissonance and all that, like, I really think this is a show with a lot of value and it's really, really good. Now, what makes it so good for me? First of all, just the slice of life of it all. Just my favorite genre, which I will always describe as like, it's just watching someone live life. Like there will be drama, of course, because this is a K-drama and there has to be like, we need events, we need things happening. But in general, like there is no big bad, I guess, to conquer. No evil, murder, plot, mystery, no no society to change, none of that. Okay, like I honestly did not even think this was a slice of life show. I thought it would be like one of those other cop shows that I've watched, but it was slice of life. It was exactly what I needed and what I wanted. It's just like a perfect depiction of daily struggles. I love that. And like the motivations of the characters are all rooted in everyday struggles. Finding a job, right? Surviving. That's my favorite theme. I guess in any shows, just like you just have to keep going and keep living and keep surviving. That is my favorite. And I think it also portrays that a bit. Motivations of the characters are rooted in everyday struggles, and it's not really on like big ideals or wanting to change the world with my job. Like nothing like that. Like it starts out that way because Like the protagonists are still a bit immature. Like they think, I want big cases. I want to solve violent crime and save a life or whatever. Like, yeah, they start out that way. But as they develop, the sense of duty, they mature and realize like we're not doing this to become heroes, really. We're just doing this to protect the people, serve the people, right? And like just the mood of this show, it's everything I want. It's sad and slow and with plot, of course. It's a My Mister type of slice of life, which, as we all know, My Mister, I've found a way to insert it into this podcast episode yet again. My Mister, one of my favorite shows of all time. It's like, yeah, slice of life leaning sad. And like live is very heavy in certain cases and like towards just the whole second half of the show. And like the sad mood really helped because they weren't treated like as heroes, really. I mean, yeah, it's just really people doing their job. And like it's people doing their job and still struggling to, pay rent or thinking about like, oh, how am I gonna sustain my third child who's about to be born? Like, I'm growing old. I need to get married, I guess. My mother doesn't want me to be a cop because it's too dangerous. Like, those are still some of the issues that they face. Yeah, and aside from the sadness, like when there are light moments in this show where they showed off their camaraderie and their close relationships with each other, it's just the heartwarming moments were just really the best. Like, okay, I think this show really shines in how it depicts relationships, like both the healthy kind and the kind of not so good kind of not toxic relationships. No, just like relationships that have been through a lot. Okay, and just all sorts of familial, romantic, platonic, co-worker relationships, all types of relationships. And okay, I'm just going to talk about the relationships I love the most. So first of all, just their team, like their whole squad and all. Like they squabble, they have history with each other. People have history with each other. And yeah, like in many ways, this could be super dysfunctional and dangerous, whatever, if they're all working together like that. But no, the team always comes first. Like people even make the extra effort to help each other out. Like when one officer almost got sued by a person, a civilian, for something, I forgot. Like people made the effort to raise money for him because they knew it was unjust and they knew that he couldn't pay it off. It's like, your problem as an individual is not just your problem. It's our problem too. We want to help you out on that. And like at their best, they really talk about their personal circumstances and problems and take that into consideration when making decisions for the team. Like if someone has to be internally investigated or reprimanded, like they really think about like, is it really just one person's fault? Is it all of our fault? But if one person has to take the fall for it, we're not just gonna point fingers at each other. We might point fingers at ourselves first, like stuff like that. And the worst ones in the team aren't like corrupt or evil or just abusive and anything. Like, no, the worst ones, quote unquote, are those who don't communicate and those who aren't there for each other. Like, as long as you say what's going on with you, people will actually understand and be on your side. It's just, I don't know, I love that sense of camaraderie. Yeah. Okay, another relationship, many relationships, but here the first is the relationship between Yang Chon and Sang-soo. So they started out as like very like hostile to each other because Sang-soo obviously hated Yang Chon for being like a super harsh trainer when they were in the academy. But of course, as you do in a K-drama, they end up becoming partners and they have to work together and risk their lives with each other. And so they naturally grow closer because Sang-soo is like Yang Chon's younger self, He's reckless, He's brave, and he's still figuring himself out. He's still figuring out why they do what they do. When Sang-soo messes up, it's Yang Chun who either reprimands him, sets him straight, helps him figure himself out, or Yang Chun stands up for him, as they should. And Sang-soo also witnesses some of Yang Chun's like lowest moments in life, like when Jang-mi, asked for a divorce in the middle of a case. Like, he was just there to hear that. And so, Yang Chun in turn teaches him to like rein himself in, I guess, and just find his sense of duty outside of the heroism or the noble whatever of the job. Like, that's selfish and that won't last forever. What is really going to keep you in this force for as long as it has kept me on the force? Something like that. Next relationship, my favorite is Yang Chun and Jang-mi. So they have like a super long history with each other. I mean, they had 2 children together, but Jang-mi raised them alone. And so like Yang Chun wasn't abusive or anything like that. He just wasn't there. Like, just, a typical father. Whoa there. Just like one of those typical dads who just wasn't there. He was too busy with his career or whatever. But Yang Chun really loved her. Like, he chased after her, he really fought for her and all that. He really loved her. But he was never there for her. And because of that, like, Jang-mi realized, like, even when her parents died, both her parents died at once, like, she never felt like she needed him. She raised 2 children on her own. She cared for her parents on her own. She also had a good career on her own. She never needed him, right? And so, like, when she said that, that's when Yang Chun respected her decision and her desire to get a divorce. And so, yeah, they got a divorce, and then they were still amicable, right? They were still okay with each other, and they worked together and saw each other, and like, it was never like, stay away from my children and all that. Like, no, yeah, Jang-mi got custody over them, and he just accepted it, but he still wanted to be a part of their life, I guess. Like, when he was torn away from them, that's when he decided to be, there. Okay. And the truth was, Jang-mi still loved him, but she couldn't keep him, or she couldn't keep up with him in his current state if he stayed the way he was. And so, like, their story is about Yang Chun, like, genuinely loving her. Yeah, realizing that he really, really did love her. It wasn't just their history and all that. And, wanting to be in her life the way she was in his life. And so his change, his growth as a person led to their natural reconciliation, I guess. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say about that relationship. But it's really, really the best for me. Okay, another great relationship is Yang Chun, once again, and Un Kyung-mo, played by Jang Yun-sung. So, it's funny. They were rivals with over Jang-mi many years ago in their youth, Like, it's funny that they're a love triangle, I guess, but it didn't feel like a real love triangle. Because, like, Kyung-mo was close to Jang-mi. Like, they worked together in the patrol in the same station for a while before Jang-mi moved back to the Women and Juvenile Affairs division. And so, yeah, like, he's personally just friends with her even after, the love triangle of their past. But, Kyung-mo respected that they loved each other. That Yang Chun and Jang-mi really did love each other, and that they could still make each other happy. Like, okay, yeah, they got the divorce and he got his hopes up and he thought maybe I could swoop in and finally, get the girl. But no. Like, Jang-mi admitted really that she still had feelings for Yang Chun, but they had to separate. It had to happen. And so, like, Yang Chun and Kyung-mo, there is that animosity between them, okay? Yeah, they are a little hostile to each other and it was uncomfortable at first. But there are also, like, there's genuine friendship there. They did work together and grow up, I guess, together. And, like, they still worked well together for the benefit of the entire team. Which, super respect that. And so, yeah, just like seeing that, it's a testy relationship. But it's genuinely a strong relationship, and they still know that what matters most is the team, the people. And yeah, like they were never stupidly petty. Like, please, you're all grown men here. Let's not be stupid. Okay. Another great relationship is the relationship of all like the senior officers. So Jiang Chon, he's a patrol officer. Kyung Mo is their team leader, I think. Lee Sambo, played by Lee Ol, is another patrol officer, but he's the oldest among them. And lastly, it's Ki Hansol, played by Song Dong Il, who is their captain. Captain, I think. Yeah. Okay. So there's just so much history between among these four, and I don't know. They're just the leaders of the squad, the team. They know how the system works. They know all the rottenness up there. They know the petty media play that the higher ups use to save their butts and try to work things out in their advantage to appease the public and all that. Like, they know all of those, but they still find ways to care for their team and protect their people despite that. And so what's great really is that these middle-aged old men, they really care for each other's welfare. Not just as teammates, not just as fellow officers, but also as friends. Yeah, it's just seeing their friendship over the years. And once again, their teamwork, their camaraderie, my favorite word of the day. Okay. And I have to talk about my favorite mentor-mentee relationship in the show is actually between Lee Sambo, the old man I mentioned earlier, and Song Yeri, played by Lee Ju-young. So Yeri is the least impressive of the three rookies that came in. And Sambo is old. He's about to retire. Yeri at first really hated being paired with like an old, ignorant person and like not being able to take on the more exciting or interesting calls and cases, because of course she has to take into consideration that she has to go around with her partner, and if her partner is an old fart who can't run, she can't do anything. And it also doesn't help that she's not particularly smart like Jong-oh, and yeah, she's not as exposed to exciting things like Sang-soo, and so she always felt left behind. And she was, the typical rookie who wants to experience excitement and all that. So yeah, at first she really just hated him and didn't understand why I had to be partnered with this guy. But, eventually, she saw his life and saw how lonely he was, and then also saw how much Sambo valued her as his last rookie. Like, it's so cute that his name for her, as the contact in his phone is my last rookie. Meanwhile, Yeri's name for him was old mentor. Right? It's like, oh damn. And as she realized, like, these are his last few months in the force, and he's going to make his last memories as a cop with her, right? Oh, oh, my heart. And so like she started to appreciate him and like see him as her father figure. Like she changed her name for him as my first mentor, which is the tears. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Anyway, now, I think one of the best moments between them is when she goes AWOL, absence without leave for a while, and he looks for her in her like countryside home or something, and instead of telling her like this was a few days before he retires, okay, like instead of telling her like just suck it up, stick to it, be like him who's been in the force for 40 years, like if you just suck it up, you'll end up like me, you'll be fine. You'll survive here. Instead of saying that, like he tells her like quit if that's what you want. Like if you were my actual daughter, I would probably tell you to quit because yeah, it's not worth it. And the thing is, like looking at his life, honestly though, he doesn't I don't know if he completely regrets becoming a cop or anything, but there is that sort of feeling that his life kind of didn't lead to anything. Like, it's not that it didn't amount to anything, but it just was pretty underwhelming in general as a life, right? And so yeah, like, if you don't have to end up like me. I'm not like, retiring in the force is not really the goal. It doesn't really matter. So just quit if you want. But like, after that, when she decided to stay, staying is completely her choice. Like, she was not persuaded to do it. She was even dissuaded, discouraged. Yeah, don't stay. Doesn't matter. You don't have to be like me. But she decided to stay. And that was entirely 100% her choice now. So that's just a great moment. Like, the agency was totally on her. No one is convincing you, no one is forcing you to stay. Just make that choice on your own. And so it's just beautiful, really, to see a relationship between someone who's starting their career and is unhappy about where they are, and someone who's about to end their career and is kind of unhappy towards the end of it, and doesn't know where they're going next. Just two people in completely different stages of their life and just finding meaning in that relationship. It's just, oh, the best. Okay, last relationship I really loved was between Yang Chun and his father, played by Lee Sun Jae. Okay, this show has a lot of complicated family relationships. Like, one, Sang-soo's mom used to be an alcoholic, and she neglected them for a while when they were young. And that almost, it almost made Sang-soo want to be like sent to an orphanage instead of, being with his mom, because she doesn't even take care of them, something like that. But, despite that past, he didn't abandon her. She eventually became okay, and then now they're okay, and he's taking care of her, and everything is fine. But that still hit him hard. Like, that's still something in his life that he thinks about. That is like his old desire to just leave his mother or be left by his mother for real. Because, like, what's the point of being taken care of, quote unquote, by someone who isn't even feeding you? Like, you'd much rather have a full stomach than a mother who won't take care of you. Something like that. Like, that's heavy, okay? Another complicated family relationship is Jong-oh's mom. Jong-oh and her mom. Like, her mom raised her by herself, and like, Jong-oh's mom has a panic disorder and all that. And like, her mom really pressured her a lot to get a job. Like, though they are pretty close and they're pretty cute and all that. But, like, it was still pretty difficult to live with a mother like that. And there's this kind of, I don't know if it's entirely a joke, but like, her mother doesn't want to let her go. Like, the thought of her dating someone or moving away or anything, it's like her mother doesn't want to let her go, because really her entire life has been about helping her child survive and sustaining her and all that, all by herself. So yeah, complicated family relationships. But for me, the most complicated is Yang Chun and his father. Yeah, another interesting thing that this show talks about is like elderly issues. Like, just issues within like old people, old people who are about to retire, old people who, are sick and don't know how long they're going to live, old people who are being cared for, old people who've been through a lot, like, just a lot of elderly issues. It's probably because this is the same writer as Dear My Friends, as I mentioned, which is about a lot of old people, and it won Best Screenplay. So I think this is a topic that is super close to the author's or to the writer's heart. So yeah. Okay, where was I going with this? Yang Chun and his father. Okay. Yeah, they have a super complicated relationship because his father used to beat him and his mother, like, when he got drunk when they were kids, when he was a kid. And so, like, yeah, that's just the story. Like, it's years and years ago. And Yang Chun doesn't even resent his father all that much, or it's just fact to him, right? It's just something that happened, something that he can't do anymore. And he won't do anymore because like his mother is really sick and is on life support. And it's like, and there was a conversation where Yang Chun asked his father, like, why are you so good to my to my mom all these years after you were beating her? Right? Like, where is this kindness coming from? Like, taking care of her and going to the hospital every day to see her, to take care of her. It's just very complex. But he's not even saying that like in an accusatory way. I don't know how to describe it. It's just like, it's a story really of like changing over time. And it's like a story of, not everyone gets to leave their abusers, right? So, I don't know, over time, I guess, there could be forgiveness in that story. I don't know how to explain it, right? But yeah, it's just, it's really complex. And it's also a heartwarming relationship there, okay? And it's also a little bit about breaking like the cycle of generational trauma. Because like, Yang Chon getting divorced and all that, and like being estranged from his family, from his kids. Like at some point he said like, I must be a terrible father. I must have gotten it from you. He said that to his dad. And his dad was like, you're not nearly as bad as I was. I mean, you've never beaten your children. Right? And so like Yang Chun realized like, yeah, he wasn't terrible because he was abusive, but he did neglect them and he could have been a better father. But definitely he broke the cycle of abuse. Like he did not carry that on. So in some ways that is breaking a cycle of generational trauma. Right? That's heavy. That's pretty heavy. Now first. Okay. Now I have to talk about the relationships I did not like. First, I did not like the relationship between Jong-oh and Choi Myung-ho, played by Shin Dong-wook. And it's not because I hated the relationship itself. I hated what happened to it. Okay, so let me just settle down. Okay. So I first met Shin Dong-wook in Dr. Romantic 2 as the Bone Doctor. I just loved him so much. He's so cute. I don't know how to explain like my attraction and my love for him. He was just so cute. And like his character here, Choi Myung-ho, is like love of my life material, He's nice, he's an upright person, he's cute, he seems rich, he's good at his job, he's smart. I mean like what else is there? What more do we want? What a perfect character. And it hurts me to see him treated like this. Okay, because he was like the first love line that formed around her. And it was going okay. It was pretty okay. It was cute. And he was trying. He was genuine about it. Yeah. But she was so cold. It's like she didn't care about him. And, okay, to be honest, he had emotional baggage with his last girlfriend who died on the force. Like, she was also a cop. And, like, when they, eventually broke up, like, they weren't even a thing, but she still broke up with him. And he even, like, said, like, no, it's not because of you. It's not you, it's me. Because he blamed himself, saying that he wasn't really over his ex. Yeah. And then she said, yeah, I'm not ready for love or whatever. And then she lied because in the next episode after she broke up with Myung-ho, she kissed Sang-soo. So like, what do you mean you're not ready for love? And then the next episode, you're jumping right into it. What do you mean, you lying liar who lies? I'm just furious. I was emotionally devastated after they broke up. Like, that was episode 14, I remember very clearly. And like, that was late at night and I just turned it off. Like, after that episode, I turned it off, went to my sister and just like, what? What's happening? Why am I feeling these things? And like, I couldn't process it for so long because I'm just like, what did he do to deserve that? To deserve not being given a chance? It's like, you think you're being given a chance, but no. There was no chance because no. And then the next day, the next episode I watched, Jong-ho and Sang-soo were a thing, are the love line. And I thought, what? What? like emotionally, okay, it made sense. Like they were the rookies who started all of this together, and yeah, they know each other's struggles, and Myungho is in a kind of different stage in his life. Not really, but okay. Emotionally, I guess it made sense, which is why I've just accepted it. I don't have to like something, right? I just have to accept it. So yes, I accepted it. However, I don't know where it fits into their individual journeys, like the love line. Because one, like in Sangsu's case, like, whole chasing after a girl and just pining over her and being a loser about it, like, it seems like a typical Sangsu thing to do. Like that's how he is at the start of the show, and it's like none of the the maturity that he's developed indicates that this is what his mature self would do. And two, like Jongho's side, it really seemed like she had a lot of baggage too, like that's why she wasn't ready for love. I totally accepted that. Like, okay, you have a lot to work through. And it doesn't help, like, she's having career and life direction doubts as well. And so, like, it would make sense that you're not going to jump into something. But she did. And so I'm like, what? Okay. It was just, I don't know, it was a waste of a good platonic relationship as well. Because they had a really cute platonic relationship. I don't know. Oh no. Yeah, and I don't know, maybe this is just a me problem. I've gotten used to shows without romance between the leads recently. 365 Repeat the Year. I mean, it was not an explicit love line, but I guess, yeah. And of course Stranger, but that's still we're still not sure, if Stranger doesn't have a love line, Wang Han is still a possibility, I guess. Yeah, maybe that's a me problem. I thought there would be no love line, but alas, there was. And it's just, I don't know, it was just kind of annoying how, like, not being ready for a relationship was a lie. And Myungho just was still there. Like, he was still in the team with them in the station. Like, he was watching the relationship blossoming right before his eyes. And so, okay, he has no say in it. Like, he barely even exists after the breakup, since he's just a supporting character. Like, you know what, Self? This is your fault. He was a supporting character. You knew that. You knew this wasn't... I just thought, I thought live would be different. I thought I had a chance. I thought Myungho had a chance. And it would have been so nice if yeah, they got a love line together, and it's just about two of them working through their past and maturing through that. But nah, okay. Let's just let that happen, because they're the ones who started out together and they're the main leads. And okay, I guess I'll just be emotionally devastated without any fanfiction or any sort of content to help me get through this, because, that's how life is most of the time. I guess I'll just suffer alone. But in summary, Choi Myung-ho deserves better, and he will remain as one of my favorite supporting characters of all time. Oh, why did I do this to myself? So, yeah. Okay, I'll just move on from that. I just want to get it out of my head. These are my feelings, okay? So, other things that are noteworthy in the show. One great OST, like really, just even just the opening song, I was just like, wow, I am brought to a mood. It's very similar to It's Okay That's Love. Like, most of the songs are like Western songs that are of the folk genre and all, but it's sadder because, like, It's Okay That's Love has a happier vibe, but this is a sadder vibe, which is perfect. Yeah, the songs are really, I don't know, it creates this like warm but disconnected vibe. Do you know what I mean? It's like, because they're singing in English, like, you're just taken out of it. Like, you're so immersed in their daily life, right? And then suddenly someone starts speaking English to you and you're just like, whoa, wait, wait, right, I'm watching a show. But it just, I don't know, the mood is exquisite. I cannot describe what this OST does to this show, but it's just so, so beautiful. So good. Other thoughts. In retrospect, I feel like Yang Chun is the center of all the best relationships. And he had the best growth for me as a character, more than the main leads. Like, honestly, sometimes the supporting characters, like the legit supporting characters, their seniors, their mentors, sometimes they had better stories than the stories of the main leads. Um, uh, I'm not saying this because I'm mad at them for having a love line, okay? Like, genuinely, I did really love the supporting characters more. And, like, as I mentioned, the complicated relationships. So many complicated relationships. And it makes the characters feel very real. I don't know, that's a terrible description, but I just loved all the relationships, and like the great ensemble like had so many heartwarming and sad moments. And I'm telling you, the sad is sad. It's emotionally devastating. I'm telling you, that's just my feeling for this. That's just what I felt about this show. I am emotionally devastated. I mean, I binged it in 3 days, like 7 episodes. How many? Seven, and then the last 4 episodes straight. And I wish I took my time with it because it is a slice of life show. I do love slice of life shows, but I couldn't get enough. Like, when I started watching, it's like, okay, I guess this is one of those shows that I have to like consume immediately because I love it so, so much. And it was just absolutely worth the watch. I mean, it's just aside from, my emotional devastation over Choi Myung-ho, I'm trying to get over him. I promise I'll be over him eventually. It was absolutely everything I wanted when I least expected it. Like, this show came out of nowhere. No one talks about this show. I don't know why. I genuinely don't know why no one talks about this show. But I just love it so much. And it helped me get over my slump, actually, after Stranger 2. Like, when you watch a really good show and you think, oh, come on, I can't find good shows after this. Like, there must be nothing good to watch after this. And yeah, I did face that slump. Like, I just had to finish shows to, get through it. But this, like, genuinely got me through that slump by causing another slump. Okay, like, I feel like, what good is there to watch? I don't know how I'm going to find a gem like this ever again. Because, once again, it really felt like a gem. It felt like no one has talked about this show. So, what? Is it just me who watched this? I don't know. Honestly, if I did not watch Stranger 2 in 2021, this would be my favorite show of the year that I've watched in this year so far. But alas, Stranger 2 happened, and like, my feelings for that show are still very intense. And so, yeah, Stranger 2 is still on top, but Live is a very close second. Um, yeah. Yeah, that's it for me today. I don't know what the show did to me, man. I just binged it, and now that feeling that it's just so empty. And it's not like the My Mister kind of empty where there was really like this life lesson, this deep, deep life lesson that haunts me to this day, months after I've watched the show. It's more like, I don't know, I still can't explain what I feel for this show, but just watching their struggles and all of that, all of these characters that I wish I got more of, I just wish I had more. But yeah, that's it. That's it for me today. Thank you for listening to me cry over Choi Myung-ho. Thank you for being there in my emotional devastation. Yeah. That's it for me. Thank you so much. I will see you soon.